Thank you. This time I'll call the meeting, the June meeting of the Haywood County Board of Education to order. This time I'd like to ask if Mr. Rogers would lead us in our invocation. It'll immediately be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please rise for the invocation.
Let us pray. Most kind, gracious Heavenly Father, we're so thankful that you give us the ability to be here tonight. We're so thankful, Lord, for all these children that are represented here, all the accomplishments they've made, whether it be in sports, academics. However, Lord, we're so grateful for these children. We're grateful for the teachers that so diligently prepare and work and hard for these children to help offer them the best education possible. We know, Lord, that sometimes we go through some tough times, whether it be financials within our public school system, whether it be with trying to find good quality teachers. And we're so thankful for the ones we have here. Lord, we thank you for these things that you give us. We pray, Lord, that we always meet these challenges with confidence and be able to be strong and upright in the decisions. Grant us the decisions, Lord, and grant us the ability to make the proper decisions that betterment the education of children of Haywood County. Guide and direct us, Lord, as we're about to end this year. Help us to have a good, successful finish to a great school year. And be with everyone and keep them safe this summer. And let us all be coming back again for another year soon in the fall. Guide us and direct us in all that we do. We'll give you the praise and the glory for it all. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Just wanted to announce that the board will have a call board meeting on June the 18th. That's next Wednesday night, preceded at 6 o'clock with a closed session, followed up by the regular meeting at 7 o'clock. That's June the 18th. Our next regular board meeting will be held July the 14th here at the Education Center at 7 p.m. I'd like to remind all board members that we have an employee recognition and retirement celebration coming up this Monday. This is always a fun time to meet and mingle with our staff and folks that have so diligently served our county school system and recognize those that are getting ready to retire from this great profession. That is 4 p.m. at Canton Armory in Canton, North Carolina. I'd also remind you the graduation dates that are coming up this week. Pisgah High School, Thursday, June the 12th at the Ramsey Center at 7 o'clock. Board members, if you want to ride together, I think we're going to leave at 5 o'clock as a group from the central office if you'd like to do that. Of course, you can drive on your own if you like. Tuscaloosa is Wednesday, June the 11th at the Ramsey Center at 7 o'clock. Also, we have Central Haywood High School graduation on Friday, June the 13th at the Haywood Community College. That will be at 6 p.m. Board members, I've been operating our Board of Education for many months now in the absence of a vice chair. I've decided to announce tonight that I have selected Miss Lynn Milner to serve that role at this time. Under agenda adjustments, I have Building and Grounds has a couple items that need to be taken care of this evening, and that will come at between items number 20 and 21. That's right before personnel. Are there any other announcements that need to be made? Okay. Now the board would like to recognize Mr. Shepard for a whole lot of recognitions this evening. Mr. Shepard.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I know we do have a big crowd here tonight, but that just means we have a lot of student success. And I don't want us to try to rush through it. I mean, we're going to move as quickly as we can, but this is what we're here for. It's about the students. It's about providing opportunities for them, and it's pretty cool that we have a lot of varied activities for our kids. We have a lot of different sports that our kids have excelled in, but we also have sportsman clubs, you know, where they've done orienteering, archery, rifle, shotgun, and been a lot of different ways for them to display their skills and to be competitive, and they've all been very successful in it. So first of all, we're going to bring David Presley up and let him recognize Pisgah High School's athletes.
Members of the board, I'd like to just take this opportunity to thank you very much. At Pisgah High School, we've had a great spring. Our student athletes have represented not only our school, but our community in such a great manner. Also, our coaching staff as well. It's just been an outstanding year for us, and we've finished on an extremely high note. At this time, what I'm going to do is I would like to ask 4 of our coaches, if they could, to step in. Ricky Brindley, Clint McElrath, Serena Goodwin, and Harold Shepard. We had the opportunity that we actually had 3 conference champions this year, and then Clint coached several conference champions in track. We also had one that ended up being the WNCAC Coach of the Year, and the one thing that makes that a little bit special, that person is Harold Shepard, our head baseball coach, and they make fun of it a little bit and laugh, but we're getting ready to change it. We have black banners that hang in our gym with conference championships on it, and our baseball has one date, and that was 1967. And for him to come in and do what they did was just outstanding. We're excited about the direction they're going, but it was our first conference championship in baseball in a long, long time. And because of that, he was recognized as the Conference Coach of the Year. So I'd just like to give all 4 of these a round of applause, please. At this time, I'm going to ask Ricky Brindley, who is our head men's golf coach, to come forward.
Members of the board, thank you for having us here tonight. It's an honor anytime we get to speak to you and introduce these athletes. They're why we're here. As you know, lots of business has to take place in here, but this is the reason we're here. I'm going to call them out, introduce them. We were the 2014 WNCAC Conference Champions. Had great success as a team, but also had a lot of individual success, and I'll make sure I mention that as they come up. First is a senior, Mr. James Bledsoe. Second is a junior, Mr. Blake Ayers. Third, sophomore, Cameron Limbo. Fourth, we had Luke Grogan, who was also a 2-time state qualifier as an individual, as well as an all-conference selection twice, as a junior and as a senior for the WNCAC conference. Next, an all-conference selection, a sophomore, Nicholas Boone. And last, we had the WNCAC Conference Player of the Year. He shot a 4-day total of 226 at 4 different golf courses to wear out the competition in our conference. Unbelievable year. You won't be able to tell him apart from his brother, but both of them were fantastic golfers. He happened to win a Conference Player of the Year this year. Mr. Levi Grogan. Thank you again for your support. We greatly appreciate it. And again, this is why we're here. Thank you.
three. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Good. Grab it. You good? Got it. Good.
We also need to congratulate Coach Brindley, who on his 5th try had a beautiful baby girl. 4 days ago.
Good evening. My name is Clem McElrath. I'm the head track coach here at Pisgah High School. I want to thank you all once again, just like Coach Brindley said, for having us here to honor our all-conference athletes that we have. It's a big honor for them, and it's a achievement. In track, we did not win as a team all-conference, but as individuals, if you finish first in your event, you are an all-conference qualifier or finisher. So these individuals all worked hard throughout the season, and this is obviously a title that they deserve greatly. The first person I'd like to introduce is Carrington Cole. She was a member of our 4x800 meter team that finished first in the conference, but also finished 3rd in the region and 8th in the state championship. The second person is Hannah Warren. Hannah Warren is also part of the same 4x800 meter team with those accomplishments. I'd also like to recognize that she has signed with ETSU, and so she'll be continuing her track career next year there. Next, I have Colby Williamson. She was also part of that same 4x800 meter girls relay team. She is a freshman, so we look forward to her here in the future. Her and Carrington, we get both of them back as both freshmen. So. Last but not least, this is actually the first guy we've had finish an all-conference position in probably about 4 years, I think. So this is a big deal. Somebody who's a junior, working very hard. I think he has a big future ahead of him and hopefully a college future in front of him as well. And this is Brian Fernandez. He finished first in the 400-meter dash. He finished 2nd in the 400-meter dash at regionals, and he placed 8th in the state. Hopefully next year he'll get a state championship, which we think is possible. So, Brian Fernandez. I have 2 others that aren't here, Mackenzie Murphy and Brianna Gentry, but they both deserve any accolades that they've got. They worked hard throughout the season. I apologize they couldn't make it tonight, but thank you all again for recognizing.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, guys.
My story's not quite complete if I don't have Walter at least stand up in his position. We kind of operate as a team. You can call us Mutt and Jeff or whatever you want to call us, but we kind of go hand in hand, and if I didn't have him there all the time working on the field and helping keep me organized and reminding me of things and carrying the balls and we talk about every aspect of the game, and I appreciate him, and I just want to recognize him first and foremost. And I'd like to thank the board for recognizing us and for the opportunity to be here. We are in our professional coaching attire this evening. We've been having camp. I'd like to say we had 44 girls at camp today, and they came from all over Haywood County, and I think that speaks highly of the camaraderie that we share and the common goal that we have for our students and for our athletes. And I appreciate the support that we get from all polls in the county, all the middle schools, and Tuscola and Central Haywood as well. I think we work well together as teams. And one other person who has had a rough year, and he's going to kill me for doing this, I'd like to recognize Coach Presley, because he recognizes all of us all the time, but he does a lot of behind-the-scenes work that nobody is aware of. So we appreciate all the work that he does. I will recognize the girls who are here. First is Sheridan Presley. This is Coach Presley's daughter, and this is why he's had a hard time this year. She is going to leave home and go play ball somewhere else. Sheridan was all conference. We did end up finishing tied for first in the conference. It was a 3-way tie, but we had to fight from a very poor deficit to get to that position, so I was proud of the fortitude that they showed. Next is Callie Kirkendall. She's our pitcher. If you don't know, this is Walt's granddaughter, so he has another vested interest. Next is Abby Clark, one of our sophomores. We like to have the young ones. Mandolin Blanton, another sophomore. She was our catcher after we bounced her around a few places. Lindsay Holland, and Lindsay plays anywhere I ask her to. Thank goodness she is very agreeable and cooperative. She's going to help us a lot next year. Shelby Tomasi, third base mostly. Thank you, Shelby. And Ashley Penland. Ashley Penland is an outfielder and our leadoff. She did a great job for us too. Thank you all again.
Like a speech, Walt. Mr. Leswood, speech.
About pouring a bunch of with a bunch of roses. This is one. All right, guys, on three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for having us here. Like Coach Presley said, it's been a long time coming. We're pretty excited about it. Good group of young men. They worked really hard, and that's all you can ask. Like to brag on them just a little bit if I can. I had 13 young men on the team. I had 12 who were in National Honor Society. Truly an impressive group. I've got several seniors graduating. Several of mine won't be here tonight because they're playing American Legion ball tonight. I've got several here to recognize. First, Bryce Burgess. Bryce is a sophomore. For most of the season, 2/3 of the season, he carried a .285 ERA. Lucas Hall, who is third baseman, pitcher, had a 1.45 ERA. Dustin Messer, who's one of the seniors I'll be missing next year, was a catcher, had some knee problems after football, had to convert to a first baseman and did a jam-up job at first base. Great young man, going to UNCA in this fall. Mason Fox batted .508 for the season in the outfield, did a great job and acted as a relief pitcher. Jake Hanna, who was one of my outfielders, probably one of the hardest working young men on the team. Jake is a great kid, and there were evenings that he would spend after everybody else had left, it's still staying out there to hit. Great group of kids. Thank you all. That's all right. I forgot my catcher. He only had 1,000 fielding percentage. I mean, that's, you know, from a catching position, that's unheard of. Ben Williams did a great job behind the plate. Ben's a junior. He's playing American Legion, but he's playing on the Junior Legion team. So I'm sorry about that, Ben.
All right, guys, on three. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna take one. Everybody gets down. All right, one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, guys.
hard to tell just how deep it was for Pisgah there. Next, we have Rodney Mashburn coming around to recognize Tuscola's athletes.
Good evening. I would like to take this time to personally thank Dr. Garrett, Mr. Francis, and the rest of the board for allowing us this opportunity to come and brag on our athletes. We have a lot of outstanding athletes at Tuscola, and they're student athletes because they also compete in the classroom as well. But at this time, I'd like to recognize 3 members of our men's golf team. Woody Cornwell, all conference. Woody. Sam Lupton, all conference. And Jackson Hines, all conference. And now I'd like to introduce our track coach, Courtney Kleinard, for her to introduce the girls from the track team.
I would like to recognize our girls 4x4 for all conference, and that was McKinley Morris, Clarissa Bryson, Hannah Jones, and Brooke Turner. And I'd also like to say this is our first time in school history getting this event, being all conference, so great job, girls. And I'd also like to recognize Brooke for being all region in the 800, all conference in the 800 and the mile, and she was also voted conference female runner. So great job, girls.
My name's Eric Melville. I'm the women's soccer coach at Tuscola. Collectively, we were co-champions this year we've shared the conference title this year. The 5 years we've been in the new conference, we've won the conference outright 3 other years. We finished 16-7 overall, lost in the second round of the playoffs. And we had 5 girls recognized as all conference and 3 girls recognized as all region for the 3A. All conference and all region was Dre DeConnick. Also all conference and all region was Cassidy Pate Moore. Another all conference and all region selection, Ashley Weidlich. And then our 2 all conference recognitions, Shannon Switch and Abby Coulter, who could not be here this evening. But we thank everybody for the support all year round. Thank you.
Next up, we're going to call forward Bonnie Coleman to recognize Waynesville Middle School.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to introduce to you 2014 Conference Championship golf team, coached by Pete Planchok, assisted by Donna Buckner and Cam Bass. They had an undefeated season, and they won the conference tournament by 30 strokes. I don't believe anyone was even close to these young men and young ladies. So they had just a remarkable season, and we are extremely proud of them. And congratulations to you young folks. I really, really appreciate it. Good job. Also wanted to mention, as y'all are snapping pictures there, that Davis Reynolds took first place at the Blue Ridge Conference Golf Tournament. How many strokes, Davis? 76. 76 strokes. If I played 4 holes, I'd exceed that. So good job.
Okay, guys, right here, all 3. 1, 2, 3.
Davis Reynolds. David Cawley. Good job. Isley McClure. Danny Clanchok. Tanner Hendricks. Walker Balance. Shelby Glantz. Sydney Ward. And Annika Mayhem. All right, so that's our 2014 Golf Conference champions. In track, we had one young lady who finished first in the 100-meter girls hurdles, the Blue Ridge Conference track meet. She was only beaten one time, and that was by one of her teammates. She won over 16 competitions and won the conference track meet handily. If any of you want to see the video, I've got it. I happen to be pretty proud of that, but there wasn't anyone even close to her, and that is Sarah Delben.
Crowd management has become an issue out here. Next, we're going to call Chad Franklin up to recognize Bethel Middle.
Members of the board, I just want to thank you and Dr. Garrett and Dr. Nolte for supporting our club. In this day and time, it's not something that people want to hear and see about. But as you're going to see tonight, our kids love it. And I know they will. I'm thanking you through them too. And I know they appreciate it. And Also want to thank Mr. Hines. I started the process of starting the Sportsman's Club with Mr. Hines, ended up with Miss Parrish. So I want to thank both of them for allowing us to have the program, and Miss Boone back there too as well. She supported us this year too. So just want to thank them for letting us have it. Our archery team finished second. Most of our children, or most of our kids, I call them children because all but one of my archery team was sixth graders, and Zach was a seventh grader. So, and only two of them had picked up a bow before this year, and we ended up finishing second in regional competition to probably one of the best middle schools in the state. Not bragging, but David's got a pretty good team until next year. And I want to thank David too, David and Kevin Norris with Pisgah. We couldn't have made it possible without their support. They were key in giving us ammunition, let us borrow ammunition. So I want to thank David and Kevin, and so Trey and Mr. Collins, please come on up. Trey Franklin and Mr. Kevin Collins helped coach the team as well. Carter Presley. Gabe Rathbone. Cooper Franklin. And Zach Reese. Travis Shuford is also on the team. Zach's my 1/7 grader, so I'm really looking forward to next year. We fell just a little bit short at regionals on the overall competition, but these guys, every competition, we finished second to Canton Middle. So, and there were some pretty good squads. There's 9 teams in our district, and there's some pretty good shooters in that crowd, but these guys really stepped it up. I mean, they jumped their average possibly of 200 points. Every one of them shot a 190 at least at some point in time this year. So I'm really proud of their guys. Thank you.
Get that picture taken, Trey.
Mike Fraser. I'm sorry, Mike. Mike Fraser.
And last but certainly not least, we're going to call David Franklin around to recognize the Canton Middle and Pisgah High School sportsman clubs.
Dr. Garrett, Chairman of the Board, thank you for having us again tonight. Got to come up here last year with the middle school archery team and hope that we can make this an annual event. Go through my list here so I don't get lost. I've got a few thank yous. First off, Mr. Collins. I think he's here tonight for supporting the middle school. Mr. Bailey for the high school. Mr. Bailey's actually who got me started doing this, 5-6 years ago. Kind of took it over from him at the middle school. Dr. Garrett, Dr. Nolte for supporting us. Jenny Wood, I'm on the phone with her constantly trying to keep our finances straight, ordering ammunition and getting our grants in. So Haywood County Sheriff's Department, I know Sheriff Christopher and the Waynesville Police Department with Chief Hollinshead, they've been very supportive of us this year. So if you see them, tell them thank you. It's a big help to have them on our side when it comes to trying to do events like we do. We did get to hold our own tournament this year, and I'd like to thank Charlie and Martha Trantham of Lenore Creek Devon Farm for allowing us to use their property to have that event. All the parents that you see back here, I've got this crowd with me everywhere I go, so they're very supportive. I'm going to go ahead and do the middle school first and kind of get through some of them, but I'm going to go ahead and get all the coaches up here Without all these coaches, we couldn't do this. We couldn't be as safe as we are. We've got to have eyes on everyone during our practices, during our competitions. So Kevin Norris, Kevin helps with the rifle and the orienteering, and allows us to use his property for rifle practice. Renee, did Renee come tonight?
No.
Kevin's wife Renee and Jennifer Best, they helped me take over the hunter skills portion of the event this year, where they make the kids study. I think there was a lot of food involved in that. Randy and Denise Ledford, shotgun. They do the shotgun for the high school and for the middle school. You gonna come on up here? Yeah. And Randy allows us to use his property, his house, to do our shotgun practice at. So you can imagine his backyard. We shoot probably 10,000 rounds of shotgun shells a year, minimum. And so that's at least 10,000 orange clays laying in his backyard. And then last but not least is Ashley Inslee. Ashley's my right-hand man when it comes to the archery team. I'll go ahead and start going through some of the accolades. I'll try to make it as quick as I can. Mike Frazier, where's Mike? I forgot Mike too. Get up here, Mike. Mike done the rifle team with the high school. Did I write that down? I've got him down on the Pisgah side. Kenton Middle School, I'll go ahead and call some of these kids up. The overall season, just to kind of give you an overview of what we've done in our Midwest tournament that we held, they finished first place in every event. In the Far West tournament that Murphy holds, we finished first in archery and shotgun and second in rifle. In the District 9 competition, which is all the teams from Polk County West, finished first in archery, first in rifle, second in shotgun, and first in hunter skills. And then at state, we finished second in archery, and we actually tied for first in archery, and we lost a tiebreaker, which came down to a written test between the 5 kids on each archery team. So as far as their archery score goes, we tied for the state championship. We tied for 4th place in rifle, 3rd place in shotgun, and we finished 6th in hunter skills. And this is out of 24 middle school teams that made it to state this year. To kind of give you an idea overall what they're all against, at state there's 554 students with 54 total teams, and when they start out before district tournaments, there's 2,700 students and 290 schools, consisting of private schools, charter schools, and public schools. So it's not like we're competing against a small crowd. These guys really step it up. Middle school archery team, Logan Clark. Logan finished 2nd place at district and 3rd place at state individually. Madison Chambers. Chance Best. And Tristan Carson. And last but definitely not least, Merritt Kirkendall. Merritt finished 1st place at state, I'm sorry, at regionals in archery, and he also finished 1st place at regionals in shotgun. Rifle team, guys, if you're already up here, just wait and I'll give you your stuff later. Some of the way this works, I can have 5 kids per team, but several of these guys make multiple teams. So some of them shoot 2 or 3 different events. So rifle, Tristan Carson, Will Norris, Andrew Toney, Ethan Hips, Ethan wasn't able to make it tonight. Ethan did finish 2nd place individual in state. And Austin Medford. The shotgun team, Logan Clark, Jared Shoemaker, at state this year, Jared shot a perfect score in shotgun. The way that works when they do that, there's several kids that do that when you get the state competition, and he shot the perfect score for us but lost it in tiebreaker. Will Norris, Bradley Lanning, Bradley shot a couple of perfect scores this year in some of our regional events. Merrick Kirkendall, just stay over there, Merrick. And I've got one more, Adam Tolley. Adam, come on up. Adam was on our regional team, which helped us qualify for the state tournament. But the state tournament this year fell on our spring break week. So he already had plans and wasn't able to attend, but I wanted to recognize him because without him we wouldn't have qualified. Last one is the Hunter Skills. Chance Best. Chance is not here. Tristan Carson. Andrew Toney. I think everybody's up here now, ain't they? Will Norris and Brady Connor. I ain't seen Brady tonight. Not seen Brady tonight. So something I do want to say about the Hunter Skills. That's something, the orienteering, something I've struggled with on how to teach and how to coach ever since I've started doing this. It's hard to get this group of kids. They love to shoot, but they don't like to do a whole lot of studying for a test when it comes to a club. But this year at regionals, the orienteering part of the event is a 2-phase event. They do a course, which they go out on a course and lay out a flag, and they measure to the closest point using a map and using their degrees and all that. The other part of that is taking a 50-question test, taken out of the Hunter Safety Book for North Carolina, out of the North Carolina Hunter Safety Book. It's a very hard test. It's not like you would just go take to get your certificate. And this year, in the past, we've scored in the 60s, and I know that sounds bad, but it's usually pretty decent compared to some of the other scores. This year, I had 4 kids score 96 and had 175. So that was the highest scores that the game wardens at the event that we're grading and doing the judging. It's the highest scores that they could ever remember on the written part of the test. So good job, guys. And one more thing, as a group at state, they finished 4th in the state out of the 24 teams that were down there. That's the highest that we've ever finished, and we were only, I think, 15 points out of 3rd. So good job.
There's so many of them.
Yeah, just stay. All right, now we'll step over to the Pisgah side real quick. Pisgah, again, like the middle school, had a very successful year this year. At the Midwest tournament that we held, they won first place in everything. At the Far West tournament, they won first place in archery. At the District 9 tournament, they won first place, and then they're also the 2014 state champions with the archery team. As far as overall, we won overall at Midwest, second in Far West, second in District, which qualified us for state. So I'll kind of go through these here. We only had, the way it ended up this year, we had 9 team members that ended up making the entire squad. I think we started out the year with about 40 kids total, and it come down to 9 that ended up making the 4 disciplines. So the archery team, I just talk just a little bit about them before I call everybody up here. If you heard what I said there, they won the Midwest, they won the Far West, they won the District, and they won the state. I don't have a senior. I've got 2 freshmen and 3 juniors. So they shot bad at state, and we still won by 3 or 4 points. So they had a bad day. They come off the range holding their heads down, and I told them congratulations on a 3rd place finish. As the day went on, things started looking up, and we still ended up winning it with a bad day. So if that tells you that they have a potential of next year, if they stick together, of going down there and doing something special. So I'll go ahead and start them out. Andrew Franklin. Jacob Boyd. Jesse Henson. Dalton King. And last but not least, a little something special with Kenneth here, Kenneth Farmer. We went to 4 competitions this year, 4 of our main competitions. Kenneth shot a perfect score at all 4 events. Go ahead.
Hey, I shoot archery with Kenneth, and he also holds the state record for North Carolina in a division of its own, not in school, but he done very good at that too, so I thought I'd mention for that.
Okay, the rifle team finished 1st in the Midwest and 3rd in the District 9 tournament, and that's Andrew Franklin, Caitlin Frazier, Jesse Henson, Joshua Jemison, and Dalton King. The shotgun team again finished 1st at the Midwest tournament and finished 2nd at the District tournament, and that's Bryce Burgess. Bryce has already been up here once tonight for baseball. And that's a good example of us working as a club and not as a sporting event. Bryce was playing baseball at the time that a lot of these competitions were going on, and we try our best to work with the athletes so that they can also be involved with the sportsmen's clubs also. Adam Boyd. Adam's brother, Jacob, was also on the shotgun team. Jacob also, from the high school division, shot a perfect score at state. Him and Adam, actually, in a couple of the other regional events, came down to tiebreakers between the two of them. We'll not talk about who won, but well, that left on shotgun. Dalton was on shotgun, and Jesse was on shotgun. And then the hunter skills, Andrew Franklin, Jacob Boyd, Jesse Henson, Caitlin Frazier, and Joshua Jemison. I think that's all I got. When I contacted everyone to line up all these speakers, I noticed Mr. Franklin was kind of quiet and reserved, and I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to get him talking. We have one more recognition, one more student, and Lauren Loker is going to come around and make that one for Canton Middle School.
We'd like to thank Dr. Garrett and the school board members for letting us recognize one of our athletes from Canton Middle School's track team. He is the 2014 Blue Ridge Conference champion of the 110 hurdles with a time of 18:27. Isaac Wyatt.
I would apologize for that taking so long, but you know, if that's your kid, that's special, and you want it to, you know, be just as special for yours as it is anybody else. So thank you very much.
I think now we have Miss Carol Douglas coming up. No? Allison, I'm sorry. I was looking this way instead of that way. I'm sorry. The board recognizes Allison Francis for some special recognitions.
Mr. Chairman, School Board, Dr. Garrett, Dr. Nolte, thank you for giving me a few minutes tonight to recognize some of our fine child nutrition folks that have fed most of these athletes that were here tonight. We had the opportunity to participate in a cooking competition called WACT Championship that was put on by FRS in Asheville. We competed against Buncombe and Henderson counties. Each county had 3 cafeteria managers that were on a team, and each team had a local chef from Asheville and some students from Elida Home. Part of the competition was, if you've ever seen the Food Network show Chopped, they named it WACT so they wouldn't have any conflict, but there were secret ingredients, and there were 3 rounds. It was an exciting cooking show that featured 3 chefs of the Asheville Independent Restaurant Association, and again paired with child nutrition staff from Buncombe, Henderson, and Haywood County School Districts. We had Barbara Fowler from Tuscola High School, Vicki Messer from Waynesville Middle School, and Janet Brooks from Bethel Middle School that volunteered to be our 3 chef competitors, and they won. Each round, they got a basket of secret ingredients. I think this is the appetizer round. It had kale, a can of Spam, cheese, grits, and different fresh berries that they had to come up with a appetizer with. It ended up looking kind of like a kale salad with diced Spam and grits. And then the next slide has them prepping their food with the chefs. And then for the entree round, they really didn't pick items that I think most of our students would eat, but beef heart, acorn squash, blueberry farmer's cheese, and risotto. And turned out to look pretty nice, but most of the judges thought it tasted fabulous, but luckily I wasn't one of the judges. For our dessert round, it was a little bit better. We had a box of Krispy Kreme donuts, figs, bacon, cider, and caramel sauce, and they ended up making a bread pudding out of the donuts, and it was actually delicious and looked very good. But at the end, they had to take all 3 courses and put it on a school lunch tray. So if we were to serve it to our students, that's a little bit how it would look. But when we first got to the competition, I noticed that Buncombe County's managers had chef's coats on. And I overheard the director from Henderson County saying, yeah, I heard that Buncombe was wearing chef's coats. So we ran out to the store and we bought some for ours. And I wasn't privy to any of those conversations, so I felt very bad that my staff didn't have chef's coats. So I told them if they won, I would get each of them a chef's coat. So I have a chef's coat to present to them tonight. And theirs are better because theirs say WAC champions on their chef's coats. So. They also each received a plaque with a great big butcher knife on there, which I meant to bring one to show, but then I thought better of it, so you can see it up there. And they kept saying, be very careful, the knives are very sharp. So I just want to present each one of them with their chef's coat that has their name on it. And then a picture of them with their awards. Haywood County was well represented. These ladies stood up and did a fabulous job for us, and I know they had to get out of their comfort zone to come out, but they had a great time, and this is going to be an annual competition, so hopefully we'll be able to go back next year and defend our title. But thank you.
Mr. Chairman, board members, Dr. Garrett, it's my pleasure tonight to recognize our top scholarship winners this year, academic scholarships for Haywood County. We have quite a few, if they're here. Allie Dinwiddie. Allie will be attending NC State. She has the Park Scholarship, which is worth $92,000. It's full room and board, tuition, books, and a laptop computer for 4 years. How about that? Margot Ledford. Margot's also from Tuscola High School. She'll be attending East Tennessee State University on the Roan Scholarship, which is $100,000, full tuition, room, board, and a laptop computer for 4 years. All right? Hunter Wyke from Pisgah High School. Hunter will also be attending East Tennessee State University on the Roan Scholarship, which is kind of unheard of to have two from one school system in 1 year. So he also has full room and board, full tuition, internships, and summer enrichment over 4 years for $80,000 scholarship. Okay, London Schumacher. Okay, London is also from Tuscola. She'll be attending Gardner-Webb University on an academic and swimming scholarship. She has full room and board, full tuition for 4 years for a total of $118,000. Garen Bailey from Pisgah High School. Garen will be attending Clemson University on a full Army ROTC scholarship. He'll have full tuition, books and fees, and a monthly stipend for a total of $140,000. We have two more that couldn't be here tonight, both from Pisgah High School, and both will be attending Berea College. They both have 4-year scholarships with full room and board and tuition for $80,000 each. So I'd like to recognize Nathan Sumi and Dakota Dieter, who couldn't be here tonight. I also want to say that just these 5 standing right here are over $500,000 in scholarships this year. So, and I'd also like to thank their counselors and their teachers and their principals who helped, and their parents who helped them get there. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all our award recipients. Wow, what a lot of accomplishments for all of them. There are some seats available if folks want to come in. We have had some folks sign up to address the board during open session. Now is the time period designated by the Board of Education for public comments. This time is set aside for comments from the general public in regard to matters of concern to the public. However, comments addressing specific students and or personnel are prohibited due to confidentiality laws and regulations. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board requests that all speakers adhere to the time limitation and prohibition against mentioning individual students and personnel. First, we have signed up to address the board is Dr. Charles C. Thomas. Dr. Thomas. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, board members, administration, thank you most kindly for your time and for your service. I would like to offer a medical opinion and a medical business opinion to you fine folks. My background to do so is pretty much as follows. I'm the chairman of our finance committee for the hospital. I'm our treasurer for the hospital board. I'm the vice chair for the hospital foundation. I'm the medical director for the Haywood Cancer Center and the Macon Cancer Center, a previous chief of staff at the hospital. I built 7 cancer centers in western North Carolina, served on the Duke faculty for 10 years, and was the director of radiation oncology at Emory. I'm currently the senior partner for 21st Century Oncology for North and South Carolina, and we are the largest provider of our service in the United States. My considerations for you folks are 2 this evening. Number 1, health care at a distance is inherently inferior care, with limited exceptions. A child that has a brain tumor and goes to the Duke Brain Tumor Clinic, or some very complicated reconstructive procedure. That has little to do with the fact that the doctor made good grades, because essentially all specialty trained board certified physicians, they made good grades. Dr. Gene Stead, many of us consider to be the father of medicine at Duke, and he was the father of the PA program in this country, and he was very fond of saying that it did not take a particularly brilliant person. It was very easy to practice medicine, but you had to get a lot of little details and facts assimilated, organized, and collated. And indeed, that was the essence of quality of care and accurate care. These crucial details are regularly and commonly lost when the patient is transported across multiple counties for no medical reason. Input from primary physicians, family physicians, previous medical records, radiographs are all attenuated in this process. Parents, grandparents, teachers, and coaches are reduced in the process. And that's a medical opinion for you good folks. A medical business opinion is that care at a distance is more expensive. And even if the medical CPT code is similar, it is more expensive to do it to the poor patient and to the family. Our Veterans Administration did actually 2 national studies looking at the issue, and it is considerably more expensive to the system and to the patient to transport them. A secondary consideration, which is important to me, but you folks get to judge, is that this would also impose an economic hardship on this wonderful community that you serve so well. I want to thank you for your public service and for your time this evening, and particularly for the good work that you're doing with these young people. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Next, the board recognizes Dwayne Messer.
I came here this evening to let you hear a parent's side of the sports medicine program from Pisgah High School. My son's had 3 injuries in his 4 years at Pisgah. He's had a concussion and 2 knee injuries to the same knee. The concussion was at the Tuscola ball game, and the doctor on the sideline, yeah, he's got a concussion. We'll see him tomorrow about 11 o'clock. That was at 9 o'clock on Friday night. I didn't feel comfortable with that, so I did take him somewhere else, and and then on to a neurologist. The next year he had a knee injury. I have the MRI report, and I was told by the sports medicine doctor that was assigned to Pisgah that he had a bruise and needed some rehab and a knee brace. That was not true. He had a tear in his PCL that we were never told about. Year number 3, as far as the injuries go, he had the same knee injury to the same knee. On Friday night, I took him on Monday to the Midwest doctor, and the very first thing out of his mouth was, "Now, I'm not a sports guy, but we'll try and help him." It was at that point that I made the decision to take my son to another doctor to get the care that I felt like he deserved and needed, and I did that. And I can assure you, I have a daughter coming through school. She's into cheerleading, and I hope and pray that nothing happens. But if she does, I will take her where I choose to go and where I took my son. So I want you all to consider, I know that there's a vote coming up about the sports medicine and all that. I want you all to consider what I've said from a parent standpoint, because I don't feel like
my son was treated the way he should have been with his knee. If I had been told up front what was wrong with his knee, I would have stopped him from playing football, because that's not the most important thing in his life. Walking when he's 30 years old is important. It took the second year having another MRI, which I had to pretty much demand to get the right information and get the doctor to do what needed to be done. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Messer. I hope I can pronounce this last name. I'm not good at reading. Janie.
That's good. That'll work.
Good evening.
Introduce yourself, Miss Janie.
I will do that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
and
you.
thank you. Thank you to the school board for allowing me a few minutes to speak. I'm Janie Senecor-Jayberg, and I'm honored to be the Chief Executive Officer of Midwest Haywood. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm going to take my less than my 3 minutes, I promise. But first, I want to congratulate all of the amazing athletes and the scholars. I absolutely saw the new CEO of Haywood up here somewhere, and I saw some surgeons up here, and I saw some attorneys, and such bright kids. That's because of you all and because of the folks behind me that care about our community, just like we did. I certainly apologize to the parent that was before me of what occurred, and certainly had I known about it, I would have gotten involved immediately. But what I'd like to share with you all is I want to share the excitement of what's happened in the past, but truly what's happening in the future, not only of our community, but for what we want to do for our athletes. We are continually changing what we're doing and moving forward. I've been here a little over a year and a half and have made a lot of changes, and I'm not done making changes yet. I've been very honored to work with Dr. Garrett and Dr. Nolte to keep things moving forward and keep quality care close to home. Last Thursday, we served 612 young athletes and did free physicals. That's the most in the time I've been here, and several other folks have been here to do. And we had a lot of volunteers. Those volunteers that were there are the physicians and the staff of our hospital volunteered their time to do that. In the 3 years of the agreement that we've had with the county school system, we've donated over $1 million in salaries and supplies to make sure we take care of our kids. We're going to continue that philosophy, and we're going to make sure that we have athletic trainers at all of our middle schools and our high schools for those that stay with our program. I also want to comment, I am a nurse by background, and a mother of an athlete for 13 years, so I feel the pain. I know what it's like. Not all injuries are orthopedic injuries. There are many other things that can happen on the field or on the course or anywhere else these kids play. For that reason, we have a whole group of specialists that care for these kids, including our emergency doctors, our surgeons, and everyone else involved. Our entire Haywood healthcare is located in Haywood County. We live here. These are our kids. Communication is key to success. As you all know, I've been out in the community talking to folks, finding out what we're not doing right and what we are doing right, and continuing to try to improve upon that. And that's going to be our mantra and our continued focus. But sports medicine is no different, and we need to strive to be the best that we can possibly be by working together. To show that support, Dr. Ben Debelak was handpicked to come on board as our sports medicine physician. He's got the experience, he's been there, he's done that, and we went through many, many candidates before Dr. Cutting and King and the team chose him. So thank you on behalf of the entire Midwest team supporting us through this transition and then the next transition that's about to come, and that's our affiliation with Duke Life Point, of which is going to bring great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Janie. Next, the board recognizes Dr. Mina. Is that correct? M-I-N-A? Is that correct?
Good afternoon, good evening, Chairman and Board. Appreciate this opportunity to talk to you. My name is Dr. Alfred Mina, and I have been a physician here in Western North Carolina, and I live here in Haywood County. I've been here for 11 years, right out of residency. Part of the reason why I chose to live in Haywood County, of course, the beauty that's around us, but I chose to live in Haywood County because I like the idea of a small community hospital. I came from Metro Detroit. I came from a level 1 trauma center, dealt with all kind. I came from Detroit Receiving Hospital, gun and knife show on Sunday night, Saturday night, Friday night. Didn't want to end up raising my kids like that. Wanted to come here to raise my family. Part of the thing about being a small town physician, if Haywood County is considered a small town, is I think that as a physician, as a surgeon, I'm held to a little bit of a different standard than I was when I was a resident, when I was in a city of 1 million or 500,000. And that's the fact that I will see these people at Walmart, at Ingles, at church. I will see them on the soccer field. And if I make a bad call, that's my call. If a parent says, you screwed up, you messed up, it's me. I live here. Not only do I live here, my kids go to school here. Not only do my kids go to school here, but I spend my money here. I'm not the only physician that's like that. The majority of your physicians here, this is our community. These are our kids. If I end up taking out an appendix in the middle of the night on a kid, that kid very likely is going to go to school with my kid. And I've done that several times where I've had my son or daughter, where do you go to school? They're maybe even a classmate of my child. So I really have to make sure I do a perfect job every time. Unfortunately, medicine cannot sometimes be a perfect job, but we do strive to do our best. So that's what I do as a physician here, and that's what the physicians at your hospital do here. This is our community. Our kids go to your school. My wife just spent the morning this morning at Waynesville Middle School proctoring an EOG test. She does that almost every year. My wife has done things over at multiple schools. I have gone to space camp, which was enjoyable outside of the lack of sleep with my son. I've gone to Ripley's as a chaperone. Mardi Gras. I was a Mardi Gras King candidate 3 years ago. Dr. Thomas was a year after me. Michael Poore was a year after us. We raised over $60,000 for the foundation. Why? This is our schools. This is what we do. If we don't do it right, my kids are going to suffer. So I have a vested interest in you all, just as you have a vested interest in me. And we need to communicate when things are going wrong, and we need to work together and collaboratively. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Mina. The board recognizes Dr. Ben Debelak.
Hi, yes, I'm Dr. Ben Debelak, and I wanted to thank you for your time and for this opportunity to formally introduce myself. By way of brief background, I'm formerly from Michigan, and I did my orthopedic surgery residency training of 5 years at Michigan State University, and then I did a sports medicine fellowship at the Houston Clinic in Columbus, Georgia, and immediately upon graduation from a sports medicine fellowship, I was the team doctor at a Division I school in Michigan, Central Michigan University, where I took care of the student athletes, as well as the area high schools in the Central and Mid-Michigan area. And then I'm in my second month here, and I just, what's not on my CV I wanted to relay is that I'm very passionate about sports medicine, and to reiterate what the coaches were saying, the student athletes are the reason they're here, that's the reason I'm here, and I'm truly passionate. I like to take ownership of what I do and be very involved and be transparent with the coaches and with the families about what's going on with the student, the diagnosis, the treatment, the return to play, and the injuries and the treatment options, both operative, non-operative, and prevention and such. And so I just wanted to really stress that, what's not on my CV is that I'm very passionate about being here. I'm excited for the opportunity. I live here in the community in Haywood County, and my family's here, and so I'm just excited to be here and for the opportunity to take care of the student athletes in this community and the county. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Debelak. The board recognizes Mr. Frank Powers.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Frank Powers, proud Waynesville resident for 10 or so years. I was raised in Knoxville, so I'm sort of a native. I don't have much to add to what you've heard so far tonight. I just want to tell you that the hospital industry across the country has experienced trauma over the last few years, and it will continue. Even the large hospitals are having problems. We're merging with a company that knows how to run hospitals, and I don't want to see you leave us now. My wife, Kim, you know her, said to me as I left, she said, "This reminds me of a song. Don't leave me now, Lucille." So I just want to say, don't leave us now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. The board recognizes Dr. Henry Nathan.
Thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening. Thank you for your service to our public school system. As you know, we are here representing the hospital, not just the building, but its employees, its medical staff, and we all, the hospital board and the staff that works at the hospital, feel strongly that we need and also deserve your support for your medical care and specifically for sports medicine care. I believe that the hospital community, the county, and the county government is counting on your leadership in this decision. We need our community support to enable us to continue to accomplish our mission, which is to provide the best medical and surgical care to our county residents in our county. Personally, my family and I moved here in 1983 after I trained at Duke, Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York, and then at UNC in Chapel Hill. At our first visit here, we knew this is where we wanted to locate and spend the rest of our lives professionally and personally. The people, the mountains, the superb medical community, the modern medical facilities, and the excellent reputation of the public schools were all major reasons. Since then, we have personally valued our school system and supported it. We sent our 3 children through the public schools. We sent a number of foster children through the Haywood County schools. My wife, Julie, has volunteered teaching creative reading at Hazelwood School, creative writing, I'm sorry. We established the Ben Nathan Scholarship in the Hospital Foundation in memory of our son to help high school graduates be able to attend college who otherwise could not afford to do so. We saw all of these students who receive scholarships and are getting to go to college. There are many, many more that don't get scholarships and won't go without additional help. I've had the privilege to work as an internist and gastroenterologist at Mountain Medical and at Haywood Regional Medical Center for 31 years, and I've served on the Board of Health. I joined the hospital board after the very unfortunate events of February 2008, and when the Midwest Board was established, I joined the Midwest Board. It seems natural for me now to also ask you, the school system, and Haywood County to support your local hospital and its excellent, dedicated, and at times underappreciated staff. I'm extremely proud of the medical and surgical care your friends, neighbors, and family who work at the hospital continue to provide, at times under very challenging circumstances. I know the care we provide is excellent. I've been observing it as a physician, but also I've unfortunately had to be a patient a few times. I had surgery by Dr. Mina. My wife had orthopedic surgery by Dr. King. My daughter, by Dr. King, by Dr. Cutting, my daughter by Dr. King, and they all did extremely well. If you'll give me few seconds, please. We were really fortunate to successfully recruit Dr. Debelak to join Dr. King and Dr. Cutting at Western Carolina Orthopedic Services, our specialists. This reinforces our commitment and ability to provide excellent orthopedics and sports medicine care to our community. I know that Haywood Regional Medical Center wants to, can, and will provide superb sports medicine service to all of our student athletes. I have no doubt it will remain so under the leadership soon to be taken over by Duke LifePoint. I'm confident that you will not regret the decision to continue to use us to provide that medical service to your student athletes. If you don't mind, Mark Clasby, who was the executive director of the Haywood Economic Commission and chairman of the Midwest Board, wanted to be here, but he had to have an emergency medical procedure today. But he did write a brief note, which I'd be happy to read, if that's okay.
If you could just leave it with Ms. Moody.
Okay.
I'll see that each board member gets a copy of it. That's okay with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nathan. Board recognizes Kelly Boone.
I would like to address the board as a former coach and a parent, and I would like to say that the level of care, I've seen it go down. As a former coach under a different medical provider, as my children have gotten older, I have a stepson and a daughter who is now at Pisgah. My daughter was in middle school, and on my first experience with Midwest, she was in the 8th grade and was injured at volleyball practice, and the trainer was nowhere to be found. There was no one on campus. Took her to the football field. There was nobody at volleyball. Took her to the football field, and there was no one there. We called the trainer, and they told me if I could wait 45 minutes, someone would come and check her out. I did not wait. In 45 minutes, I could be at another provider. So I took her to Southeastern. My next experience was with my stepson, who did not have a physical, and golf tryouts was supposed to start. His mother was not able to get him there for the free physicals. She tried to get him into a physical, could not get him in until after tryouts was over. So I called our trainer, who told me to call Midwest and try to set up something to get him in, quickly. I was told they did not accommodate that I would have to call urgent care. That was going to cost $120 because they did not accept insurance. So I called Southeastern, and they took him at 1:45 that very day. So he was able to try out for the golf team. Another experience this year, my daughter is at Pisgah, played volleyball. She has knee problems, and she now has an unloader brace, but she had to have her knee taped daily before she got the brace. Had to buy her own tape, and we taped it ourselves, or the coach just taped it, because we could hardly ever find the trainer to get it taped. So multiple instances where the care was not provided. My concern is everybody keeps talking about support, support, support. It's hard to offer support in your own community when you feel like the support is not there for your children. When you feel like the level of support and the care that they need is not there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boone. The board recognizes Brett Chappell.
Good evening. My name is Brett Chappell. I'm the head football coach at Pisgah High School. I've got a different opinion probably than most. I've had the opportunity to work with 2 different healthcare providers in the last 2 years. When I was in Henderson County 2 years ago, I was able to work with Southeastern, which I have worked with for many years as a head coach in that county. Once coming here this past year after I was hired, I had a chance to meet with the administration from Midwest. I sat in a meeting with Mr. Bailey, Coach Presley, and a few other members of our staff at Pisgah High School. The thing that I took away from the meeting as we sit there and we talked, Mr. Bailey gave me the opportunity to speak, and they asked me my expectations from the healthcare providers. I told them that I was used to being taken care of as priority number 1, as being spoiled. I remember Mr. Bailey specifically looking at the personnel from Midwest and saying to them, if he was spoiled in Henderson County, we want him spoiled here. I was hired last year by this board, not because I was from another county, but because I was thought to be the best candidate for the job. This is the same thing. The job today is to make sure we take care of our kids, to make sure they are priority number 1. So I posed the question to the board tonight. I ask that you make that decision based on what's best for our kids and our community.
Thank you, Mr. Chappell. The board recognizes Dr. Benny Sharpton.
Mr. Chairman, Board, thank you. I've been at Sharpton. I'm a retired surgeon, practiced 31 years in this county. I had 3 kids who went through the school system. I had the privilege of taking care of some of these sports injuries, not all the orthopedic injuries, some are in other areas, and I took care of them too over the years. I'm also a member of the hospital board. I feel strongly that our board is committed, our hospital board is committed to our student athletes in this county. They are a high priority. Also, has been alluded to already, Duke Life Point that's coming in has made it very clear they are very interested in permeating our county with very good health care into the public, and I believe this would carry over right into our school system. And I think there is strong administrative backing in our hospital now for seeing that sports medicine in this county is equitably allotted. Tuscola, the other schools that we have athletic trainers that are working with, we've been I think, very successful. And I don't think I use that word too loosely in dealing with that. But obviously there are some families, particularly on the Pisgah side, that have had some experiences that were not good. And we don't like those experiences either. And I think you would find that we can rectify that. The one thing that I have noticed in the little bit of investigation I've done into this, and frankly this issue has just sort of come back to administration and back to the board recently, to us. The one thing that it hinged on is communication. We just haven't had if somebody at Pisgah had picked up the phone and called Ms. Sincor about this, a board member about it, you'd have got our attention very quickly. But somehow or another, a fast communication, a telephone communication between our hospital and particularly Pisgah High School has not occurred on a regular and timely basis. Now, we can do better with that, and we will do better with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sharpton. The board recognizes the importance of the decision to make on the sports medicine issue. The current contract, I believe, runs through November. We've got some time to look at this issue, and thank you all for your comments tonight. It gives us information to help in the whole process of the selection. Any other comments, board members?
Thank everybody for being here.
I agree. Thank y'all, everyone, for coming. Board members, the next item on our agenda is the appointment to the Haywood Community College Board of Trustees that we tabled last month. At this time, I'll entertain a motion that we approve someone, a candidate.
I would like to make a motion that we approve Tom McNeil
okay,
to the Haywood County College Board
okay,
from the school system.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve Tom McNeil. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Morris. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 7-1. Dr. Garrett, would you please inform the candidates of our selection? Thank you. Board members, you've had an opportunity to look at the minutes from our May 12th closed and regular session minutes. This time we'll entertain a motion to be approved as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Kirkpatrick made the motion. I hear a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Milner. Any question or discussion on the motion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. All right, next on our agenda, we have some federal program plans. I think Dr. Garrett is first.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, for the Title I grant application, the highlights of the application actually includes the federal grant, which is $1,876,616. This amount is based on children in poverty, our last census data, also for foster children living in Haywood County and children in the Broyhill. If you'll look at row 5, this is the planning allotment, which I just stated. Row 7 is the administrative cost. This pays for 70% of a director's salary, which will be Ms. Barker, 40% for our preschool and staff development coordinator, 50% for a secretary and bookkeeper, workman's comp insurance, material supplies, travel, and indirect costs, which can be up to 4% for the entire school system. Row 9 is funds set aside for teacher staff development in reading, writing, and math. This includes substitutes and workshop expenses. Row 12 is the amount distributed to schools for parent involvement. Row 15 is funds for assisting homeless students in non-Title I schools. 16 is funds to pay for 4 teacher assistants, and those are the ones that we have in the pre-kindergarten program. 17 is funds for assistance to the students at our Broyhill. Row 20 is the total amount of set-asides, which is $468,611. Rows 22 and 24 is the amount after set-asides are subtracted, and it's the amount allocated to the non-participating elementary schools. 25 is low-income students in the elementary schools. 26 is the amount per student by dividing the row, and 24 by 25. Page 3 is a school allocation spreadsheet. Elementary schools are listed by the percent of students who are on free and reduced lunch from highest to lowest. Each school's low income number is multiplied by the number per pupil amount to determine their actual allocation. Page 4 is the individual school's worksheet to determine how those funds will be used. We'll actually be meeting with all the elementary principals Wednesday morning from about 8 o'clock to about 1 o'clock. Jill Barker and Fred Trantham will be conducting those meetings. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, board members?
No, I'd like to make a motion. Well, you want us to make a motion on both of them or one at a time?
You can do one at a time.
One at a time.
We're going to do them one at a time, is my understanding.
Okay.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve the Title I federal program.
We have a motion from Mr. Kirkpatrick. Do I hear a second? Second, Mr. Rogers. Any questions or discussion on the motion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Garrett. Mr. Hines.
Mr. Chairman, board members, we're asking for your permission to apply for the Title II grant. What you have before you is a preliminary assessment of funds that we've used this past year. We are eligible to apply for about $292,000 this year in federal money to support beginning teachers and also to support experienced teachers in staff development. We can't give exact numbers until we fill in the application and get input back from community partners who also have access to some of this money. But we're asking for you to approve permission to apply for it.
The process.
I also make a motion to approve the Title II, that federal program plans.
Okay. We have a motion from Mr. Kirkpatrick. Do I hear a second? Second. Second, Mr. Henson. Any questions or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hines. Last but not least, we have Ms. Glantz. Ms. Glantz. Ms. Glantz first.
Just like Pat trying to jump in front of somebody.
Hang tight. Oh, you're coming up next, Mr. Smith.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, Dr. Garrett, members of the board, first I'd like to say thank you for your continued support for the CTE programs in Haywood County these last few years, especially since with the hard economic times that's coming up. And with what the budget I've been presented this year has been cut drastically. The LPS that I'm presenting to you for your approval tonight is a planning management performance tool that is used by the state of North Carolina to assure accountability. The LPS is considered to be part of the requirements for the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act. It's a 100-page document, which I'm not going to go through. We've sent y'all the links to look at it and let y'all read at your leisure on that. CTE programs are in the place at Tuscola, Pisgah, Central Haywood, and at all 3 middle schools. Haywood's CTE programs provide students with a variety of options that they can choose. In March, we were federally audited, and the findings for Haywood County were good. These are some of the commendations that were stated. It said Haywood County Schools does an outstanding job with informing students and parents of course options as evidenced by the Career Cruising, CTE website, and other marketing materials such as posters, career cluster documents, internship handbook, and etc. Haywood County Schools has met or exceeded the state goals and performance indicators 1S1, 1S2, 3S1, 4S1, 6S1, and 6S2. For 5S1, 90% of the state goal was met. Additionally, the state average was met or exceeded in 7 of the 8 performance indicators. When you go onto the LPS, that's where you will see what your this LS1 and all that is, these indicators. It also, we had 565 students receive credentials in the 2012-2013 school year, and that will be going up. Some of the credentials were Career Readiness, Microsoft Office, PowerPoint and Word, Nurse Aid, and Everify. Enrollment in CTE has increased from 2,600 in 2002 to 4,200 in 2013-14. The recommendation that they recommended from the state was for us to broaden internship opportunities for our teachers. They were impressed with our student internships, but they would like for us to start internships for teachers. The main non-compliance issue that they had with us was I have to have an advisory board. So I will be asking 1 or 2 of y'all to serve on an advisory council for me. With that presented, I would like for y'all to approve the LPS for me.
I'll make it 3 for 3. I'll make a motion, we approve it.
I think Mr. Rogers wants to second that. Is that right?
Yes, I'll
You want to second, or you want to make a motion?
Go ahead.
Mr. Kirkpatrick's made the motion, second Mr. Rogers to approve the presentation from Ms. Glantz. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor?
Thank you for your hard work on this list.
Thank you. I
I know
appreciate
it's
it.
very detailed, you're right.
Thank you.
Any other question or discussion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Now, Mr. Smathers.
Chairman, Board, I wasn't trying to upstage Ms. Glantz when you said Shirley, but I mean, last but not least, I thought surely you were talking about me. Mr. Chairman, the HCC, Haywood Community College lease that we operate the cafeteria for Haywood Community College because the early college has run its course. It's up for renewal. In your packet, you should see the exact same lease. There are some minor changes highlighted in yellow, but nothing of any significance. It's actually, we're paying, I think, $200 less than what we have been paying for the use of that facility. So we will continue to operate the cafeteria there at Haywood Community College pursuant to that lease, should you also approve.
Okay. So you're good with the lease?
Good with the lease. Same one we've had for about 3
counsel.
years. We haven't had any problems. So.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the lease as presented?
I move we approve the lease.
Ms. Milner's made the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Kirkpatrick. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, next item.
Mr. Chairman, Board, the next item is a lease renewal of the Pisgah and Canton Middle School baseball fields at the C.T. Wells complex with Dr. Freeman. That lease is not currently up. However, in anticipation of some improvements for that facility, it was necessary that we begin negotiations to extend that lease. Dr. Freeman has agreed to extend the lease for another 10 years, which with the 2 remaining years we have will be 12 years on that facility. He has also agreed to give the school system, as a part of this renewal, a first option to buy that property should he at some point in time decide to sell that property. So this will give us another, a total of 12 more years for that facility, and the first option to purchase the property should he place it on the market for sale.
Okay.
Make a motion, we accept that agreement.
Mr. Leatherwood's made the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Shandoval.
I think the copy that you have is just the renewal of the lease, but we discussed with his attorney, Mr. Burt Smith, we will work out the option to first refusal. That'll be in your final draft.
That'll be in the final lease agreement.
Draft, yes, sir.
Okay.
We want to go ahead and get your approval so we can conclude that process.
Move forward, okay.
Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any question or discussion on the motion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Smathers. Board recognizes Ms. Allison Francis.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I present to you tonight the child nutrition milk bid for the 2014-2015 school year for your approval. We sent bids to Pet Dairy, Mayola Milk Company, Mayfield Dairy, and Pet was actually the only one to respond. I did receive a letter from Mayfield that they were declining to respond at this time due to not having routes in this area, but would like to consider them in the future. The bottom line price for milk for next year is $263,717.50.
Okay.
That can change.
Pardon me?
I said, and that can change.
And that will fluctuate based on the price of milk fat.
Based on milk prices.
Yeah.
Prices, yeah,
Okay.
dairy. Yeah.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the bid as presented? Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Francis. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Henson. Any questions or discussion on the motion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Francis.
Thank you.
Mr. Shepherd, it's policy time.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members. First of all, before you have for first reading, Board Policy SA8, which is minimum requirements for participation in athletics. The change on this takes place because the North Carolina High School Athletic Association has taken out their requirements of any kind of attendance at all. They had 85% of the time the student had to be in attendance. They've now just taken that out of their rules and left that to the schools. So we thought it best to jump on that one pretty quickly and have that in place, you know, as this school year ends, as this semester ends, this is the time that would be what we base fall's participation on. So we felt like we needed to have this in place so people, you know, knew what to expect. And this is basically the same thing that the High School Athletic Association had in place. You have to be in school 85% of the days that it was possible for you to be in attendance the semester before. Any exception to that would be, you know, just at the superintendent's mercy, and that would be based on an extreme illness or accident.
Okay. So SA8 will be tabled for 30 days for public input.
The other caveat to that, you'll see there if it's marked in yours the way it is mine in the pink, is we've also discussed with our ADs and principals about allowing time made up in summer school, make-up sessions and Saturday school sessions that would allow a student, that are basically put in place so a student can earn credit or recover credit for grades, that time would count toward this 85%. That's the biggest difference between what ours would be and what the High School Athletic Association's was. In theirs, you know, if a kid did not meet that 85% requirement in a spring semester, say, had to make up time in summer school, that time would not count. But our folks feel like it should. If it's good enough to count for credit, it should count for playing extracurricular.
Okay. We'll still table it for 30 days.
Very good.
Public input.
All right, the next one is employee supplement. As you know, there was a little conversation on some employees who did not meet the letter of the policy to receive their employee supplement for the year. So we're trying to clarify the wording on when a person would have to be hired and actually begin working. So I think there's a little bit more work to be done on the exact wording. The spirit is now that a person who's hired by the board to start in December, but we've got to get that worded just right, you know, because our example has been if the board votes on someone in November, say, and that person is supposed to start December 1. December 1 is an avalanche, you know, a snowstorm, and we have a no day. And that person does not have the opportunity to even work that day, so would that person be eligible or not? So I need a little bit more clarification on our wording to get the spirit to meet what we're saying in policy.
Okay. P29 will be tabled for 30 days for public input.
Okay, back once again is the students with food allergies policy, back for first reading this time. And this was a new policy this year, early in the year. It's SA 20. We work closely with school nurses, and they've really taken their time and tried to word this in a way that would make this food allergy be handled almost exactly like a bee sting would be, since it's very much the same type situation. The school nurse would come alongside the principal and other school officials to help design a program to take care of the students and to try to help prevent, you know, heaven forbid, a student having peanuts that wasn't supposed to. And Nurse Clark from Pisgah has also spent a lot of time and come up with some peripheral materials to go with this. It's basically a check sheet that a principal can use to really make it almost step 1, step 2, step 3, leading them through this process to get this right and get the plan in place for students.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that one? SA 20 will be tabled for 30 days for public input.
Okay, next we have Board Policy A4, which is pupil assignment, reassignment, and transfer. The small change in this one on page 2 basically just changes the fact that a student would have to make that first stop at the school that they would be assigned to in their district if it's their first time in Haywood County schools. And that could happen if a student has just moved in or if a student is just entering school in pre-K or kindergarten. They would have to make that stop at their home school and basically not just take the word of someone else, not just take the word of a neighbor, not just take the word of you know, their community, but actually stop by and sit down and have a face-to-face meeting with that principal before choosing which school to go to.
Okay. This time we entertain a motion, we approve A4 as presented.
So
Mr. Rogers, I believe beat you, Mr. Henson. Mr. Rogers made the motion. To hear second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Henson. Any questions or discussion on the motion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, next you have CR4, policy you've never seen before, the facility use policy, and we're still working out the wording on that one, and I think we're very, very close to getting something that that is legal and that we can all live with and we all feel good about. We want to treat our youth leagues fairly and equitably, but we got to figure out how to say that just right in this policy. And another thing we'll have to do when we try to make concessions to make our youth leagues happy and comfortable with what price they're charged, we're going to have to go back and revisit the fee schedule, which we have toyed with trying to get, you know, something that would work for everyone. I think we've come to the conclusion we can't come out with something that's going to work for every single one, but we're going to have to revisit that. So I guess it's back to a little bit of the drawing board on CR4.
Will be tabled again until further notice. I think we're going to try to get something in place as soon as possible, and because of the fall sports, they need to know. So we'll get started on that one. So CR4 is tabled again.
Okay, the next one is policy P4, which is just a small change to the voluntary shared leave policy. This was sent to us by the School Board Association as a requirement. They've changed a wording that says no employee should feel pressured or coerced to participate. And I don't think anybody ever was in our county, but obviously it was somewhere. So legally we had to put that in. And also, the next sentence, an employee found guilty of giving or receiving compensation may be subject to dismissal as outlined in, and it had an exact state law. That law has changed. And instead of naming exact laws, they've sort of made a move to call it inapplicable state law, so they don't have to go back and change them every time the number of a law changes.
Okay. I entertain a motion we approve P4. Mr. Leatherwood's made a motion. I hear a second.
Second.
So Ms. Milner, any questions or discussion on the motion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. SA 22.
Okay, the next policy is SA 22, and that's the weapons, bomb threats, terrorist threats, and clear threats to safety policy. And this one comes up at an opportune time. If you notice, I put SA 22, which is what it would be in our current structure of how we label our policies. It's also got the 4333, which is the policy number it would have and does have in the North Carolina State School Board Association's numbering system. And of course, we were approved by our Finance Committee to have this system adopted and have our policies revamped using this system. So it's not a foregone thought, but just in case, I left that numbering system on there so you could see what it would look like in the future.
Okay. I entertain a motion that we approve SA 22.
So moved.
Mr. Rogers made the motion. I hear a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Leatherwood. Any questions or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, SA1 is our student affairs discipline policy, and basically the parts that you see marked in SA1 are the parts that were pulled out to create this SA22. You know, like we knew already, SA1 was a very long, cumbersome policy. This pulled out those you know, those 365 type offenses, those clear and present threat to, you know, community and public safety type offenses. Pulled those out, made them a separate offense. What we've done in our SA1 is to mark in blue where those were referenced, and the pink shows that they would reference this new SA22 policy.
Okay, at this time, we entertain a motion that we approve SA1 as presented. Motion. Mr. Henson's made the motion. I hear a second. Second, Ms. Shandable. Any questions or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. We look forward to revisiting CR4. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Shepherd, and I would also like to thank the Finance Committee for approving this. Been on the Policy Committee for several years now. It is a very tough job. There's always changes, and I appreciate us being able to look to the state to adopt some of their policies as they have set out forth. And I was down there a while back, and they also were looking forward to working with us as well. So thank you for that.
Recommendation coming from the Finance Committee. Very good. All right, next comes the Finance Committee report. And I recognize Mr. Jim Francis, our chair of our Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee has met and has discussed lots of items, as you've heard. And one of those was the monthly financial reports, and we reviewed those, and everything seemed to be in order. So I'd like to bring before the board at this time a motion to approve the regular monthly financial reports.
We have a motion from Mr. Francis. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Henson. Any question or discussion on the motion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. He was closer, Mr. I'm sorry.
I've got several more here to go.
All right.
Next item, number 18, is the 2014-15 interim budget resolution. This is because state doesn't have a finalized budget. We have to sort of base ours on a projected budget for the next 3 months until we know what the actual budget is. So this resolution allows us to operate on what the projected funds are up until we know what the actual budget is going to be.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the interim budget resolution.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Francis. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Milner. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
The next item is the budget amendment and revision resolution, and this allows our superintendent to continue to operate through the end of the year, and to make the amendments and revisions until we have time to meet in July. So we'll reapprove what she's done at that point in time, and this is statutorily required again.
I'll make a second on that.
We have a motion from Mr. Francis to approve the June budget amendments and revisions resolution, second by Mr. Kirkpatrick. Any questions or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I have two more items that I failed to add to the agenda at the beginning.
That's okay.
One of them has been mentioned a couple of times here about the North Carolina School Board Association policy review. This is going to give us the ability to take our policies and make them standardized with what the state's doing. So when the state makes a revision or change, then we automatically have that. Instead of when they make changes, they send us a whole list of things, and we have to sort through and find our policy number and compare it to their policy number and do all kinds of changes that way. So the Finance Committee did approve that. So I would like to bring it before the board for consideration.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions on it or anything?
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Mr. Francis to approve the NCSBA proposal to rework our policy manual.
Yes.
I would like to say, well, and you have a second? There is. From Mr. Rogers, I would like to say that they do take into consideration our local policies and make sure that they are in compliance with the state laws, and that they will try to maintain a local flavor as much as possible, and each policy still will be approved by this board. I'd like to make that very clear.
Just on that, I think that's a very good move. There are things going across the state, they haven't occurred in that county that we just don't get word of, and so we can work with the association statewide and those keeping our policies up. I think we do a very good job, but still there's things happening that they know about, we don't.
Okay.
I would like to add that due to some savings in some other areas, we've found the funds to pay for this.
So this will be no new funds. This will be funds that we found
at this time. Yes.
Unspent at this time.
Unspent.
Okay. Very good. Any questions or comments on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, I have one more item.
Okay.
This comes from food service. We have an opportunity to participate, and I believe it's Allison, is it a federal program?
It is.
It's a federal program to allow some schools to receive free breakfast, lunch, and snack for all kids. But they have to meet certain criteria in order to be able to participate and for it to work. And we actually have two schools, Central Elementary and Central Haywood, that do qualify to be able to do this program. It is a 4-year contract, but at the end of each year, if it's not working for whatever reason, we can opt out or opt, back in at the end of that year.
Okay.
So at this time, I'd like to, it's called the Community Eligibility Program.
Okay. So we have a motion from Mr. Francis that we participate in the Community Eligibility Program. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Leatherwood. Any question or discussion on the motion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
I think that is, do I have one more on here? Oh,
You
yes.
want me to do that, or you want to do it? Or
Just one.
the funding formula?
The funding formula. I skipped that item, didn't I? Sorry
That's
about that. The other item on there, number 20, the 2014-15 funding formula. This is the formula that we have worked out with the county commissioners, that it's reviewed periodically, and it's time for us to renew that formula as of, at this time. So.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the funding formula for 2014-2015. And do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Ms. Shandable. One thing I'd like to point out is that this board will review with the county commission how the funding formula is decided upon, and we'll have some couple of representatives from this board to meet with some of their representatives to make sure that interests are met on both sides of this issue. We've been very pleased with the funding formula, but we want to look at the possibility of any changes that might be beneficial to both parties. Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Chair, I'd like possibly at the next board meeting in July, because our administration came with some specific proposals on what they needed. Principals, advanced placement teachers, and some EC teachers. With this funding formula, we're not going to meet their demands, or not really their demands, what they asked for. I'd like to know what the plan is, if there is a plan on this.
Okay.
I mean, what they asked for I thought was very legitimate, had passionate pleas from existing principals. So at that point in time, I'd like to see, what their game plan is to offset that little over $3 million difference that our funding formula is not meeting.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed? Motion carries 7-1. Okay, anything else from the Finance Committee? Now we have some things from the Building and Grounds Committee. Mr. Leatherwood.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of things from Building and Grounds. First of all, we need to replace the roof at Johnson Valley. The price tag on that's $220,000 plus $13,000 for design fee, and this will be funded from the lottery fund. So I'll make that in the form of a motion that we do this job.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Leatherwood to replace the roof at Johnson Valley, and second by Mr. Francis. Any questions or discussion on the motion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. And what else?
I have one other thing. The Pisgah High project, we need to add 4 jobs to that project. One is additional asphalt, which will be a little over $54,000. We're not going to have to move the greenhouse, but we're going to have to replace it's a polycarbonate covering for the greenhouse. The total of that's $13,000. And we need to add a cable for the IT in the new part of the project. That's $3,000. And $5,500 for design fee, for a total of $76,000. I'll make this form of a motion that we do these projects.
Okay. We have a motion from the Building and Grounds Committee, Mr. Leatherwood, second by Mr. Rogers. Any questions or discussion on the motion on the floor?
I'm assuming money.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It was all in the packet. It's all spelled out where Mr. Hargrove was pulling that money from. Yes, sir. The most of the Pisgah money was coming from the contingency fee that hasn't been touched at all yet.
All of it is from contingency.
Yes.
There's about $220,000 in total, so this still leaves $180,000.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Hargrove stated for the record that it was coming from the contingency fund that had not been utilized up to this point at all. Okay, so folks can hear it. Any other questions or comments? We do have a motion and a second, correct? I didn't get out of order. Okay. Any further discussion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Leatherwood. I appreciate it. Now, Dr. Garrett has our personnel.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, for your information, you have 25 separation from employments, you have 15 employee status changes, and you have 2 leave of absences. For your approval, you have 29 employments. You have, under Section 5, under employee status change, I'd like to pull number 45 and take a separate vote.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel as presented thus far?
I move.
Ms. Milner's made the motion. Do you second that? Second, Mr. Henson. Now, before we vote or have any discussion, Mr. Leatherwood is asked to recuse himself due to being a family member to number 45. Correct. Is that correct? So we pulled out number 45. So you can vote on this one, Mr. Leatherwood. Okay. Just want to make it clear. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any question or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to ask your approval for the other ones located under employee status change.
Okay, number 45.
Make a motion, we approve that status.
All right, and this is the one that Mr. Leatherwood's asked to recuse himself. I'm sorry. Do I hear a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Francis. Any questions or discussion on the motion on the floor? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 7 with 1 abstention.
For your approval, you have 3 separation from employments.
Want to do them? Okay. This time I'll entertain a motion that we approve the 3 listed from separation of employment. Motion. Mr. Henson's made the motion. Second, Ms. Shandable. Any questions or discussion on the motion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
For your approval, Mr. Chairman, there are 18 substitutes, also 2 employee coaches, 1 volunteer coach.
Okay, at this time, I entertain a motion to approve the personnel presented thus far.
So moved.
We have a motion from Mr. Rogers. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Ms. Shandable. Any questions or discussion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, for your approval, probationary teacher contracts, I'd like to pull number 48 and number 155.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion. We approve the personnel with the exception of 48 and 155. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Francis made the motion. Do I hear a second? Second, Ms. Milner. Any questions or discussion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
For your approval, Mr. Chairman, number 48.
Now, who was kin to Miss 48?
Mr. Francis.
Okay. Mr. Francis is asked to recuse himself from the vote on item number 48 under personnel. At this time, I'll entertain a motion. Otherwise,
So moved.
Mr. Rogers made a motion. Second, Mr. Leatherwood. Any questions or discussion? There being none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 7 with 1 abstention.
For your approval, number 155.
Number 155. The chairman is asked to be recused from a possible vote on this candidate due to being a family member. This time we entertain a motion. We approve candidate number 155.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Rogers made the motion. Second, Mr. Leatherwood. Any questions or discussion on the motion on the floor? If this is a split vote, I'm going to be mad. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, it's my pleasure to introduce our 2 new principals. First, I would like to introduce Bethel Elementary School's new principal, Mrs. Kim Shipman. Mrs. Shipman has taught pre-kindergarten and 1st grade at North Canton, kindergarten at River Bend. She's also been the lead teacher at River Bend and an assistant principal at Waynesville Middle School. She possesses 19 years of progressive experience in education with 6 years serving as lead teacher. Her experience at River Bend and Waynesville Middle School will be beneficial in facilitating Bethel Elementary School's continued success. Congratulations.
I just want to say that this is a very humbling experience for me. It's an honor to be asked. to go to Bethel Elementary School and serve such a phenomenal staff and such a great community with all the community support that they have. And so I just appreciate so much this opportunity to serve. And I want to thank my family, because over the years they have been so supportive to me in my career decisions. So I thank my family. And I want to thank the great leaders that I have worked for. Mr. Parker was a great mentor to me at Riverbend for 12 years. And so I appreciate all of the experience that I gained there working for him. I worked for Jill Chambers last year, and she was a wonderful leader. And then this year, working for Mr. Putnam, I so appreciate all the support that he has given me this year. And I'm excited. I'm just so excited about this opportunity. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, it is now my pleasure to present Mr. Travis Collins as our new principal at Tuscola High School. Mr. Collins has taught at the elementary school level. He was assistant principal at Waynesville Middle School for 1 year, assistant principal at Pisgah High School for 4 years, principal at Meadowbrook Elementary for 5 years, and principal at Canton Middle School for 3 years. Mr. Collins.
On behalf of the Waynesville community, on behalf of the Tuscola Boosters Organization, myself, this has been a hot topic in the Waynesville community. We wish you all the best of luck. We have a lot of pride at Tuscola High School, and as an ex-coach's wife and community leader, I support you all the way.
Thank you so much. I'm going to. That's the big moment. Thank you, Dr. Douglas. Dr. Garrett, Dr. Nolte, members of the board, I too am humbled by this opportunity. I've been blessed to work in this county a long time now. I remember seeing you in a parking lot. We had a great conversation, Mr. Kirkpatrick, when I was an assistant principal at Waynesville Middle. And I have served for 12 years in the Canton community at Meadowbrook and Canton Middle School, Pisgah High School. And those have been great years of my life, and I've learned so much from the great leaders and the great teachers in that community. My boy's math teacher's in the corner over there, and she has done a great job with Jack. We are truly blessed to work in this community, and I am so humbled by the opportunity to serve in the capacity of principal at Tuscola High School. I get chills when I think about it. When you think about a school like Tuscola with the history and the tradition that they have, what an awesome opportunity it is for me. I could not do this without the support of my family. Sweetie Pie begged me not to say anything about her, but I am blessed. If you know me, then you know my family, Melissa and Jack and Ruthie. And when I told them earlier tonight that we were going to a special meeting and that Daddy was possibly going to be changing jobs, and Ruthie asked me where, and I said Tuscola, the first thing she said was, "You're going to have to get more yellow." So, thank you so much, and go Mounties. Thank you.
Ms. Shipman, Mr. Collins, congratulations. We look for great things from you, and I know you can. This board supports you, and we appreciate y'all's willingness to serve in those communities. They're not easy communities, I can tell you, because we expect a lot, and I know the community does. But congratulations, and we challenge you to do your best, and I know you will. Thank you so much. If there's nothing else to come before the board,
no, sir.
Meeting's adjourned.